Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, it is the beginning of the month. It is December 1st and we're almost 11 months away from the 2024 presidential election. We're going to be having primary results next month out of the Iowa caucus in just about 44 or 45 days, where Donald Trump and Joe Biden will likely win their respective caucuses. Now, it is very important that we do this prediction because we do a prediction every month on this channel, and we're tracking the state of the race and where is it exactly sitting right here, right now, today, because we're getting closer. And you can feel it. We are in full election season right now. And we can look at the polls. Donald Trump, he is leading the popular vote over Joe Biden by nearly 2 percentage points, and that is up from a couple of months ago where it was pretty much neck and neck, or Biden had a slight advantage. Now, keep in mind, Donald Trump can lose the popular vote given trends and given the way certain states vote and the Electoral College. He could lose it by 4, possibly even by a little bit more than that, and still end up winning in the Electoral College. So this is something people need to understand. It doesn't really go by popular vote all the time, but still, it is very likely that Donald Trump, as of right now, is the favorite. So we're going to fill this map out. We're going to start off with the safe states as we usually do, and then we're going to make our way into some of the more competitive states. So we're going to start off with the safe red states, the states that are going to go in Donald Trump's column pretty much no matter what. Here we are going to fill them out. And you're going to be seeing this here, a lot of the Great Plains, Mountain West, Deep South, and certain states in the Rust Belt as well will be in the safe Republican column. Ohio and Iowa, I think Trump wins the states by more than 10 points this time around, adding them to his column there. Also Maine's 2nd district. So out of the gate, you look at this here. We'll even throw in Alaska because they don't really like incumbents that much. It's kind of a weird state politically. A lot of people don't really know how to predict it, but Trump's going to take it regardless, probably by more than 10 percentage points, especially as you have all these third-party candidates that are entering the mix, and a lot of them are taking more votes away from Joe Biden compared to the votes they'd be taking away from Donald Trump. Definitely depends on the candidate, but all of them on net definitely are hurting Biden so far. That's what pretty much all of the polling that we've seen so far has to say. So now we are going to fill out these states that are basically going to go in Biden's column no matter what. I know there's polling that has New York close. I'm just not ready to move that into the likely column just yet, but watch the margins in a place like California, a place like New York, because that very well could give Donald Trump a popular vote victory. Same thing with Illinois. And yeah, the popular vote doesn't matter. We understand it doesn't dictate the winner, but it definitely is a piece of bragging rights that Trump would like to have. It would give him that mandate. If you guys remember 2004, Bush didn't win the popular vote in 2000, won it in 2004. He said he had the mandate. Trump would get that mandate this time around if he was able to do it. Also, Colorado, I think this state, it's just trending left off a cliff. That's going to be the new entrant into the Democrat safe column. So Donald Trump, 149. Biden has a higher floor, but also Trump has a very high ceiling here. So we're going to be filling out the likely Republican states, the states that are going to go Republican by 5 to 10 percentage points. The state of Florida. This used to be a swing state, but it doesn't really seem as if the state is going to be all of that competitive. It moved to the right in 2020 significantly. Republicans, they have a competent state party there. The Democrats are in utter shambles. Republicans continue to make gains in Miami, even in like the Orlando area. A lot of retirees and boomers moving down from the Midwest, from the Northeast to the state of Florida. That is keeping the state a Republican state. If anything, it's moving it significantly to the right. I think Trump probably takes the state by around 7 points, 8 points or so, possibly by even more. And also, the state of Texas, I will be putting that in the likely column for Donald Trump. I do believe he is going to take the state of Texas, possibly by even more than he won it by in 2020, because you look at the fact that Biden's approval in the state, it's consistently in the 30s. Donald Trump has that approval of the entire state party apparatus. That's done a very good job for turnout. They did very well there in the midterms, and you're seeing Trump improve a little bit with Hispanic voters here and there that can kind of fend off continued demographic change and lower turnout overall for demographics that vote for Biden that are not all that enthused. Basically, we'll be giving Texas to Donald Trump. You can put that in his column. Another 40 electoral votes there, a massive prize for Donald Trump on the map. So in terms of other likely Republican states, I think that's going to do it, but likely Democrat states, we have a couple, New Mexico. Republicans in the state party, not really all that competent. And even though you could look at it and you could say, well, Trump might gain with Hispanic voters, it doesn't seem as if it's going to be enough. And you also have a large, college-educated white population in Albuquerque that has been voting more Democrat in recent election cycles. It doesn't really seem as if this state is really positioning itself well to be a flip for Trump in 2024. Maybe in the 2030s, it could be competitive under the right circumstances, but we're not quite there yet. Also, the state of Virginia, we could also put this one in the likely Democrat column. I think you're going to see a little bit of a bounce back. Democrats in the state are not really as strong as they were. And even though they did win the state house back, the tipping point seat was like Biden plus 23, and Republicans kind of fumbled the ball on the whole 15-week abortion issue there. And that definitely helped Democrats energize their support base enough to win, even though they had some garbage candidates out there. But nonetheless, Virginia at the national level, at the presidential level, it's still a Democrat state. And I don't really think any Republican would be capable of going out there and winning it this time around. I do believe that it's possible the state could turn a corner at the state level. It could maintain itself as a more swing or Republican state, but we're not exactly quite to the point where Virginia is going to be all that competitive. Although I will say, watch the Senate race there. It possibly could get closer because Republicans have their star candidate in Hung Kao, so we'll see how he does. But other than that, let's move on to the lean states. We'll move on to the lean Republican states that are expected to go or should go in the Republican column by 2 to 5 points or so. And we'll start off with the state of North Carolina. North Carolina, it voted for Trump in 2020. And you look at the map there, you look at the shift map, there's a lot of room for Republicans to grow in northeastern North Carolina. A lot of these counties are not all that populated, but still, demographically speaking, the Charlotte suburbs are far more blue collar and white than the Atlanta suburbs, which have been moving left off a cliff. And you look at the fact that in the smaller metros, they perform well. The state party there is extremely competent. Trump should probably take the state by a margin similar to his 2016 margin of victory in the state there in North Carolina, and possibly could flip the governorship there with Mark Robinson and possibly the attorney general slot, which has not been won by Republicans in a very, very, very long time in the state. So other than that, let's move on to the state of Wisconsin. This is a state that in 2020, extremely razor thin in 2016 as well. A lot of room for growth in a lot of these rural counties, and you don't really see high turnout in a lot of these counties that are moving to the right in midterm elections because Donald Trump was not at the top of the ticket, but he's at the top of the ticket. Biden's on the ticket. That's going to be a drag on the ticket for Democrats overall. You look at the fact that you see, like I said, the third party vote share increasing, and the fact that even in the blue trending areas, Democrats may be hitting a demographic wall. Waukesha County, 60%, non-college educated white. Washington County, an even higher proportion there. The only one of the WOW counties that I think is like on a permanent leftward trend off a cliff would be Ozaukee. Trump's still going to win the county, more likely than not, but still it's important to understand that it's the smallest county of the three. I expect Trump to bounce back in the smaller metro areas, end up taking the state by around 2 percentage points at the end of the day. So let's go on to the lean Democrat states. We'll start off with New Hampshire. New Hampshire is going to be a lean Democrat state. The state is not all that fond of incumbents, and Trump's going to be spending more time in the state because of the primary there. That's an early primary. So I do think it's going to get closer. Also, the third-party candidates definitely help Trump out. Also, Maine at large, this is another state where I think they're going to help out. I could see RFK Jr. going out there taking like 5 to 10% in these states. I mean, Maine, I think Ross Perot back in the 90s and 92 finished in second place in the state. Overall, those two states are going to go in Democrat hands, but they're going to go in Democrat hands by less than they did in 2020. Same thing goes for the state of Minnesota. Minnesota, they do like third parties there, and that's really the only chance that Republicans have to win is if you have a high third-party vote share in Minnesota, which can happen. Biden's approval rating, it's not all that high, but at the end of the day, Minneapolis is Minneapolis. I consistently say the city was burned to the ground over liberal lies in 2020, and they rewarded the Democrats with a resounding, historic election victory in Minneapolis and extended to Minnesota as a whole. The rurals are moving right, but not exactly by a whole lot to make up that difference there. So I do think it stays in Biden's column. I don't think Trump is going to be that first Republican to win Minnesota going all the way back to 72. But who knows, maybe in the future something could happen, but probably just not yet. So Nebraska's second as well will fit into that. Nebraska's second, it moved to the left in 2020 substantially. It's trending to the left. You have suburban Omaha there. They redistricted it, but it didn't exactly make the district much more Republican than it was. And I think given trends, Joe Biden is going to be able to hold on there despite having a low approval rating nationwide. So without further ado, I think we have to move into the Big Five right here, the Big Five most contested states in the 2024 election. We're going to start off with the state of Georgia. I did a video yesterday talking about how Democrats are not even expecting to win Georgia, or they are deprioritizing it and stripping funding for 2024. And this is big because you look at Georgia. Biden's struggling with energizing black voters compared to 2020. That's going to be a major problem. You saw this in the midterms where every single Republican except Herschel Walker ended up winning. Herschel Walker, who got outspent 3-1, had all these scandals, couldn't really complete a sentence to save his life. That Herschel Walker. The other Trump-aligned candidates down ballot, like the lieutenant governorship candidate there and Burt Jones, he won big. The agricultural commissioner, he won big. So you're looking at the big picture here in the state of Georgia. Democrats are in trouble. I do think it's possible that they could revisit it, raise it in the priority list further on down the road, but I don't think they see Georgia as a must-win. So I do think Trump is going to pick it off by maybe 1 to 2 points or so. I do think that you will see at least one last red resurgence in the state of Georgia, partially because of Biden's unpopularity and also because of the rise of a lot of these third-party candidates. Trump's got a solid 48, 49% floor in the state. His ceiling is not much higher than that, but still, Biden's floor is lower than Trump's. I think Trump picks it off. Democrats know it. That's why they're stripping funding. So we'll go to the state of Pennsylvania. And in Pennsylvania, this is a state that Biden narrowly was able to, in 2020, was narrowly able to hang on, a very contested state here, and that we know. And Biden in northeastern Pennsylvania, you see the trends that were to the left in that part of the state. Is that going to continue in 2024? Probably not. Biden's policies have been a disaster. A lot of white working class voters in that side of the state. I think the whole Scranton Joe facade, it's over. And even though people want to talk about the midterms, Joe Biden was not on the ballot in the midterms. Donald Trump was also not on the ballot in the midterms. Democrats outspent Republicans 50-1 at the top of the ticket. And also we hear new reports that Democrats in Pennsylvania, they're struggling. And even though they tried to do the automatic voter registration, it backfired because when they did that, the next week, the new voters that were registered because of it were like 6-1 Republican. So either way, looking at this, if Republicans are able to use the election system to their advantage in the state, which they've been more inclined to do in recent elections and performed a lot better in the Supreme Court election than I think a lot of people really anticipated, especially looking at how they did in Wisconsin. I think Pennsylvania, Donald Trump transcends it all, narrowly flips the state, and that would get him above 270, by the way. Now, the state of Michigan, I can't exactly give that to Trump. It's going to be closer than a state like Minnesota, and that we know Minnesota is definitely harder to win. Trump picked off Michigan in 2016. But the state party is a disaster. The Michigan Republicans, that is. I don't think he wins it. I think he gets close. Maybe he could. Obviously, we're a year out. Biden is hated in Michigan, so I wouldn't fully rule it out. But as of right now, Michigan, we'll put it in the Democrat column. Arizona, on the other hand, I do think that Donald Trump, he's got a high floor in the state, that we know, probably 48, 49%. Those third-party voters defecting from Biden, the so-called Biden Republicans from 2020, I think you're going to see more of them defect to a third party. Maybe they'll vote for Sinema down ballot. But looking at that, I think Trump can narrowly pick off the state of Arizona there. I think Nevada, this is another state that moved to the right, swung to the right, trended to the right in the 2020 election. And Republicans picked off some of the statewide offices there in the midterms. They came very close to flipping the Senate seat there despite being severely outspent, but a snowstorm kind of held them back from doing it. So I do think Trump wins Nevada. I do think he ends up going out there, taking the state. He'll be the first Republican to win it at the national level in about 20 years. So there you go. That's the final prediction. Donald Trump, 297. Joe Biden, 241. Yes, we are ways away. Yes, things can change. A lot can change between now and the next 11 months. It's possible that Joe Biden can somehow miraculously recover his approval, although I don't see that happening at this point. And it's also possible Donald Trump could go out there, win in a epic landslide bigger than 2016. Obviously, it's not going to be like a Reagan-level landslide, but he's definitely loosening the grip that Democrats are having on a lot of these voters in a lot of these states. So we'll see how that plays out come next fall. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.